The most controversial add-in to the game ever. And Blizzard says it's working as intended. That's right, the one-button rotation has put players on beast mode, passing up players actually doing their rotation correctly, and passing by players who don't know what they're doing in the game. The one-button rotation is the meta. That's right, that's a bit dramatic. No, it's not. But it has become a viable way to play the game. Let's see what Bellular has to say about how Blizzard's plan has worked on implementing this single-button assist. Here we go.
We've got a lot to talk about in today's news. I mean, player housing might actually be earlier than we dared hope. Maybe even a whole patch earlier. On top of that, the single button assistant is officially a success, at least in the words of the developer. I certainly know.
If he says player housing's coming before pre-patch of midnight, I'll be shocked. I thought this is going to be a pre-patch feature. I've been saying that all along. Maybe that's what he's going to say, and he's just being dramatic. Let's see.
The Trang Wow and my ROG ally has been a little bit nicer with the single button assistant existing. We've also got a lot to talk about with Season 3, because it seems it could be carrying on the wins of Season 2. Loads of absolutely gorgeous cosmetics that are coming to the game as well. But first, I think we'll have to talk about the big thing, which is that player housing might be early. Take a look at this. You see that the player housing icon actually sits just before midnight on the official roadmap. Now, we all took that to mean the pre-patch. But what if it's earlier? And I'm not just saying that idly. We know the player housing is testable on the show floor at Gamescom, and now we've been able to see that Blizzard won't have to fly.
By the way, Gamescom, I will be Twitch front page doing an all-day stream that day, so we'll be watching Gamescom together. If you want to pop in and say hi and then pop out, because please don't stay in. That's kind of weird.
Fly across the planet with, I don't know, server racks and equipment to do it all local, because they've actually set up Battle.net servers to connect to. And they've done this using all the same infrastructure that they use for internal testing and for public testing, which actually means that we might get to snoop and data mine. Now, Marleman, our retired data mining hero, big legend in the community, spotted an 11.2.7 server with Show 3 in the name. Now, you can even see it from the public test run client.
Right there.
Now, he points out that demo realms don't usually show up here. And I can certainly say from experience, I have played on demo servers at Blizzard events, and yeah, they do not show up here. Which means that us seeing this is probably a mistake in Blizzard's end. But hey, it's a mistake that means we get to talk about some new stuff. So what needs to be fired? Anyway, the real point here, if 11.2.7 is their Gamescom demo, then that would mean that player housing could be in patch 11.2.7 and not
or that could be a server literally being set up for Gamescom. I mean, that could be what it is. They're gonna have to have that obviously set up so people can try it and play it. And this could literally just be the Gamescom freaking server. So this might be a little bit dramatic to be calling it that it's going to come this early, but we'll see.
Patch 12.0 as we originally expected. And even if it's not available right away, it could be switched on at any time if it's fundamentally in the game build. Now, it's worth mentioning that this could be some weird testing anomaly, and they do plan for it to be in the pre-patch. That's obviously possible, but just imagine it with me for a second. August 5th is patch 11.2. 8 weeks later, 11.2.5, September 30th. And assuming that Blizzard sticks to the pattern that they have all expansion, that means that
21st anniversary. I don't know why I never noticed this. So we're going to get another anniversary event? They bring in the whole carnival back and everything? Interesting. Are we just going to do that every year now? Blizzard loves that rotating
11.2.7 would release November 2025. Now that does in fact line up with the officially posted roadmap. Look here, we can see 11.2.7 is just before the slash that splits autumn and winter. And the player housing icon is right after that slash, on the winter side. Now winter, as far as this roadmap is concerned, is December, not the solstice on the 22nd. And that means we may be getting player housing as a bit of an early Christmas present. And you know what? A feature like player housing, plus say Christmas holiday, it's kind of cozy. It does seem like an
it is cozy, but the one thing is that Blizzard, I mean, I guess that Microsoft don't care, but typically dropping some new content just before a lot of devs maybe would be taking time off for the holidays. I don't know if Blizzard would do that. Typically, they don't launch new raids, they don't launch new seasons, like nothing really new hits that in that December window. So that would be that'd be interesting. But maybe no holidays, only WoW. Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, paused on the yeah. Well, she's a Cultiran, so
free marketing win. And at the very least, I'd also expect that this swing is when we will be playing Legion.
You're gonna tell me there's not something behind that? I've said it before. Look at that swing. You're gonna tell me legitimately that there is. At the very least, this wasn't intentional.
I expect that this is when we will be playing Legion Remix as well. I mean, if Blizzard wanted some turbo engagement, imagine unlocking cosmetics for your house in Legion Remix. That seems like a real good way to juice up WoW subs for the quarter. Next up, something real cool. Blizzard's doing something a bit different for the 11.2 launch, where they've partnered with Ashura, who is a longtime World of Warcraft lore nut, to release these, the Karashi audio logs. Basically, it's giving you a bunch of lore ahead of the new patch. And I'll give you the quick version. The Karashi watched their world die, not to fire, not to ice, but consumed by void. The saffron skies were swallowed by something starless and hungry.
These are the audiobook things. I listened to these on YouTube. They're really good. If you haven't listened, there's like 3 parts to them. I don't know if it's the same thing that he's talking about right now, but it's a story about Demancius coming to destroy their world. And you listen through it, it's basically the story told by Locust Walker.
They built arcane barriers to survive. They huddled beneath shields of light while shadow pressed down like an unyielding sleet. But here's the problem. The barriers held. They held at a cost. And that cost was the wasting. It began slowly at first, marred skin with easy lies to explain it. But then it started to spread, and to spread to everyone.
Yep, they became
Flesh
ethereals.
thinned, bones ached. They wrapped themselves in bandages, not to protect, but to preserve the shadow, the shade of their forms that still remained. They essentially were turned into living ghosts. As Laura puts it in the logs, we bought time and called it salvation. I really like it.
Yes, he's a fellow balding man, but there's nothing we could do about it, guys, okay? Maybe Bellular and I will take a trip to Turkey one day and get hair transplants, but until then, the balding continues. The great balding, just like the great withering or whatever it was for the ethereals.
It's not just lore for lore's sake, it's setting up what we're going to see in Koresh, which I can't wait for, a dead world, and that also works as a cautionary tale, because it's designed to set up the stakes for the Midnight expansion. If Midnight goes wrong, well, patch 11.2 pretty much shows you what will happen to Azeroth. Big fan of that, and personally, I love the gnarly details in these logs, all the flesh shrinking away, and also, collabing with Ashura, doing these audio logs, and of course the audio drama that they posted recently. It is a nice reminder that internal Blizzard can still do really cool social stuff to engage with us, very much unlike the outsourced slop that I covered in this video. Anyway, let's move to the next topic. Well, this is quite the quote. Overwhelmingly positive is another quote. We received overwhelmingly positive feedback. They're finding it valuable. The game is more enjoyable to them. Now, those are all quotes from Morgan Day, and Morgan is the Associate Game Director for World of Warcraft, and he's sharing what Blizzard have heard from players about the single-button assistant. Yeah. Essentially, over the course of this...
It's good for a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who love to use single-button rotation. I don't hate the thing. It's fine. It's just funny how dramatic the entire situation became when it got introduced. At the end of the day, I do think they need to increase the cooldown on the, the global, increase the length of the global cooldown that it happens every time you click that thing. Because, yeah, if it's outdoing people who are legitimately trying to do their rotation correctly, and they don't want to use single button assist, but they're going to get pushed towards it, that's kind of sad. It is. Now, for me, people like me, I play Blood DK, there's no way I can use it, because it doesn't properly pop defensives and things, so I will die if I just single button rotate my way through shit. I've used it on a delve or two while I was streaming, just because, hey, try it out, and be able to talk to chat more, because I'm just using a single button. But besides that, I haven't really used it all that much. Now, for DPS, I guess it's more viable than a lot of people thought it would be, and people like it.
Patch. We've learned that it's actually incredibly strong. Like, yeah, it's not going to be as good as you playing perfectly. It's not going to be as good as a sim. But guess what? You're probably not as good as a sim. I know I'm certainly not. And honestly, for the average player, you probably do more damage if you turn it on. And it turns out Blizzard are perfectly happy with that. It turns out that's kind of what they wanted all along. And this is fascinating. Morgan Day said they feel, quote, it's currently meeting our intentions. And that basically means, there you have it. It is a success. Now, obviously, people are reporting how brilliant it is for accessibility. Like, if you don't have the standard complement of limbs, good lord, I have to imagine something like this just unlocks enjoying World of Warcraft again. And that is an absolutely amazing thing for people.
Yeah, definitely great for people with disabilities, for sure.
But the other side of it, I think, is a game design one, actually, because it turns out a lot of people like some bits of World of Warcraft, and maybe they don't like the super fast-paced class gameplay that we've got now, but they love raids, they love Mythic Plus, they love collecting things. For a lot of those people, it basically minimizes the stuff they don't like which means they can maximize their focus on what they do like. But I'm not going to sit here and claim that it's absolutely perfect. There are darker sides to this, and sadly it doesn't seem that PC Gamer's WoW veteran Heather managed to get anything out of Morgan Day on those kind of darker potential sides of this new feature. Though in her reporting she did note that she's already seeing casual guilds actually push the one button setup onto players to boost their damage.
Yeah, see,
and that is kind of
that's bad. That's what I was talking about. Like somebody who legitimately wants to enjoy the game. Maybe you want to try out a new class for the first time. You want to learn the rotation, right? And one way you learn is, yeah, you try target dummy, but eventually you got to work your way into a raid and test out your rotation, see if you're able to do it. And if people, get mad at you for trying to learn your class and they just push you to do a single button rotation, that's kind of sad. Now, I'm sure Blizzard has the numbers on how many people are using the single button rotation in raid. I would love to see that. I don't know if they'll ever release it, but I would love to see the actual data behind how many people are participating in raid with single button rotation.
The dark side, right? Or a bit of the dark side. When you don't want to do it, but you have to do it, it basically is just humiliation.
It's forced on you.
It's saying, hello there, sorry, you're the team dunce. You need to use this so you're not holding the rest of us back. Obviously, that won't feel amazing, but, well, if you're someone else in that raid, you're probably glad that you're no longer dragging someone behind you as much. Now, my guild hasn't felt any of that, but there is another dark side that we have personally noticed, and that's that sometimes playing with it is just boring. I mean, Morgan's earlier quote,
what did he say?
The game is more enjoyable to them, actually has a second part. Morgan followed by saying, because it's allowing them to focus on what's in front of them instead of what's next in their rotation. So for some players, that's perfect, right?
Yeah, we
it means
mentioned
that they can enjoy the boss fight.
We mentioned that yeah, okay, for doing mechanics or learning the mechanics, single button rotation could be used because then you don't got to focus on your rotation. You're just focusing on moving and getting out of shit, doing the right things at the right time. Sure, but I still think the best mastery of the game should obviously be knowing your rotation and being able to do the mechanics at the same time.
And maybe that's a player who actually loves playing Dark Souls. But they love Dark Souls because they're looking at the boss. They're thinking about the encounter. They're not having to execute a very high actions per minute rotation to do optimal damage. If you take a player like that, who could actually succeed in a very punishing game, and put them into World of Warcraft, it could just be complete overload of buttons.
Yeah.
So maybe for that type of player, this actually does work. You could also argue the player should play without it in easier content, so they can just brain off and then swap over to it for raids or dungeons. Maybe get the best of both worlds or something. But that's forgetting one vital thing. I have to say unfortunately, are MMORPG players. I know, I'm sorry. Yeah. But, well, it's the cross we've all got to bear. And that does mean that on average, we're going to take the easy and efficient path.
And on average, we suck at games. I say it all the time. Most MMO players suck at games. You take a guy who's played World of Warcraft for 20 years and put him in an FPS, he's probably going to get his ass ranked. That's the truth. Yeah, and most of us have bad reaction time. We're aging. We've only gotten worse at this at gaming. Over the years, we've become more more bitter, more angry. So that's where all this toxicity comes from. We're very toxic and we're very bad at gaming. That's the best way I can describe your average WoW player. So putting things that make things easier for us or giving us a path of least resistance, most of us are going to follow it. That's the thing.
Why go to many buttons when you can play with just one, right? It's basically that. Why many word when only one word do? That kind of energy. But where it'll get interesting is this season. This season will be the first real test, so keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, most of us would get our cheeks clapped by the average 12-year-old Fortniter. No doubt.
For any one-button bullying, or just people doing way better with it. Or if you feel the urge to, resort to it yourself. If, or maybe when you do, let us know. Morgan told Heather that there are no updates for it in patch 11.2 except for tweaks to support class changes, so I think it's clear that Blizzard wants a full patch worth of testing data as well. Bad news, everyone. Blizzard just made enemies 10% harder to kill in Season 3 dungeons. But actually, it's good news. The good news is they did that because players are actually doing a lot more damage than Blizzard expected when they're using Season 3 gear, which is hardly a surprise.
Right.
So many overlapping things that I'm sure gear scaling is absolutely just to the tits in the sky mental. Now, in a dungeon testing update, Blizzard announced this buff, but they followed it up by saying the net result is that Season 3 mobs will be easier to kill than Season 2 mobs. And looking across the list of updates, you can see a lot of abilities being removed, a lot of cooldowns being increased, a lot of damage being nerfed. Essentially, the sorts of changes that we saw with Season 2 that ended up making it a hell of a good season for people.
We could be heading towards a Dragonflight Season 3. I mean, I'm just saying, like, Season 2 was a big step in the right direction compared to Season 1 of The War Within, and now Season 3 is supposed to be easier than that. I'm excited. I might be able to get a lot of shit done this season. It's going to be a good time.
And you know what? I think the net result here could be something really good, really fun. I'm actually thinking about the End of the Legion expansion. What I mean there is that given how much people have enjoyed the game when Blizzard are erring on the side of caution, not making stuff punishingly hard and overcomplicated with loads of fast, cast time filler spells, add to that end of expansion power scaling, and I think this season could be one of the best, one of the most fun yet. And that's especially with the rave reviews that are coming out of the new dungeon, which is just lovely to hear, and also out of some of the updated ones. In fact, on that, Automatic Jack posted a video from his perspective as a high-end healer, and he said that in some dungeons, he hardly felt like he really needed to be there. Now, obviously, if he's going to be pushing up.
That's great, considering tanks are freaking squishy little marshmallows, but I mean, that's good to hear. So I mean, he's legit saying that this is a way easier season. Guys, I'm excited. I'm about to run the shit out of this stuff this week. Mythic Zero's opening up. That's all I'm going to do.
Up to, I don't know, a plus 20 something, then yeah, the stuff will scale up. But I think the core point there is good, at least for the average player, and that is based on what people have enjoyed with Season 2 of this expansion
4K IO in
and
1
Season
week.
3 of the Dragonflight expansion. So that ain't the complete picture from Jack. In a few of the dungeons, there were more intense times for healers, just with way more unavoidable AoE damage than usual. So if you're a healer, you better hope your DPS players are using one button and looking at their character's feet. You know what? I was wrong for getting bored by the trading post. August's one is continuing the pretty good trend where we're getting a cool mount as the monthly bonus reward, and this one's really
weird editing there. But August trading post looking good. I said it before, the next couple trading posts look really good. October looks like it's going to be S tier. I'm so excited for October's trading post.
Cool. You've got the Grandmaster's Prophetic Board, which is a chess-themed hoverboard, and a chess theme actually runs throughout loads of stuff this month. There's another chessboard mount coloration. There are 2 full gear ensembles, and there are chess-themed weapons. I mean, just look at this gnarly horse
these look
staff.
good.
I think it's awesome. And the flavor text of this two-handed mace is a fun little callback to the Karazhan chess event. Nicknamed the Midnight Sweep, Medivh was known to clear his game board of all pieces and participants with a mighty swing of this weapon. Indeed, I remember being young, stupid, and failing that chess event. I know, impressive. Anyway, Blizzard are also not so subtly dropping Midnight and snowy-colored transmog items this month as well, which totally doesn't coincide with the Midnight expansion reveal at Gamescom. I also wouldn't be that surprised if we got some sort of new bonus reward whenever they do announce Midnight. We actually got that for The War Within, so maybe that would happen. Then, as we came to expect, some of the cheaper items are really nice. We've got these 2 high-res eye patches in black and white for only 50 tendies each. There are full-body sweatsuits in black and white for 100 tendies each, so I guess if you just want a lazy pajama day in World of Warcraft...
It had to be gray, didn't it? It was gray, right? Yeah, had to be the gray sweatpants, of course.
In World of Warcraft,
Blizzard knows what they're doing.
Yeah, you can do that. Now, outside of the chess theme, there's a faction-swapped Wolf and Nightsaber mount. Those are actually back from last August, and man, the Kor'kron Warsaber really does give the Horde just... I mean, a really, really nice saber mount. I think it's awesome. The Sentinel Warwolf is, again, a really lovely Alliance Night Elf-themed wolf. Very good indeed. But I do have another neat cosmetic thing for you. Brewfest fashion updates. Yeah, Brewfest is getting some cool little things in patch 11.2.
Yeah,
basically, we've got some berets, we've got kilts, we've got belts. They're all in 4 color variants. We don't know exactly how to obtain them, but chances are they'll just be there in the Brewfest merchandise container, so that's probably where they'll drop. Now, these items are matching the existing Brewfest color scheme, so you got green shoulder guards, blue shoulder capes.
Really, these kilts and stuff, they're pretty cool. I think the Brewfest overall, major improvements to it, and that mount he was just showing is another new reward for the Brewfest. This might be the first time I do the Brewfest in a long time.
You got black, you've got a green kilt, which, oh man, come on, we're getting kilts. That's pretty nice. Do you know what? I just love getting these more low-key items. If you want to get your Highlander on, you can probably do that. Sometimes it, yes, is fun to look like you're some sort of anime mech crusader, which is what a lot of modern like tier gear looks like. Man, I gotta say, this more simple stuff, it's a real 10 out of 10 for me. Now, there's another thing. Over 600,000 of you watched this. I think mostly to watch us, like, go through suffering and pain and find out that some bits of WoW were a bit broken.
Yeah, basically.
Turns out, though, World of Warcraft is an absolutely insane game. And the second part of the Journey of Milk Genius is out. If you want to see us suffer in the Shadowlands, amongst a whole bunch of other things, check out this video next.
Yeah, nice video overall. This is a good one. Bellular had some nice updates here. Look, heading into Season 3, I'm excited for a lot of this stuff. Definitely, I think if it's a really easy season, like Blizzard's saying, I think it's going to be so much fun. I do. And we're all furries. Yeah, we're all basically furries because we were all groomed at a young age by Lola Bunny in the Space Jam movie franchise to love, that kind of stuff. So yeah, a little bit of furry in all of us. It's just a matter of how much furry you put inside of you.